Hello. In this tutorial we're going to be focusing on how to do object-oriented programming. Specifically, we're going to learn how to define a new class. So you'll notice inside of our blank Hello World program we have class main class, and if you've wondered what's going on here, this is the basic unit for defining a region of code and attributes or variables that work on the stored data. So we've got methods like main. And as we've defined before, we've got things like read-in input and process user choice and so forth. And so we can define methods inside of a single class, and we can also add attributes, as you've seen that we've done. But if I'm doing any kind of large-scale programming, it makes sense for me to be able to segment off and break pieces of code into different units. And in object-oriented programming, we design these units of programming inside of this concept of a class. Now in a class we're going to hold variables, and we're going to also hold methods that act on those variables. So to add a class into our program, it's easy enough. We just right click on the project itself and click Add and then New File and select Empty Class and give it a name. Now since this is a games-based Intro to Programming class, I'm going to create an enemy class, and if I hit enter there, you'll notice that it creates an enemy.cs. So we have a new program or a new file within our project, and it sets it up here within the same namespace. So notice that in main.cs we've got the namespace of the project, and in the enemy.cs it's in the same namespace. If I were to change the namespace, I'm essentially saying that this chunk of code is different and they won't be able to see each other. So you want to make sure that those are the same. In particular, if you're importing classes from other examples or other places on the internet, you want to make sure that you have the namespaces all match up across all of your files inside of your solution. Okay, so here we've got our public enemy, and you'll see the keyword here for class denotes that all of the code inside of these curly brackets are going to be associated with this class. And then we give the class a name. In this case, it's an enemy. Here we have a default blank function that is the same name as the class itself. And we'll talk about this in the next segment, but this is called a constructor. Okay, so we have a blank method, and into this I can add any kind of attributes that I'd like, any kind of variables inside of the class, make sure that they appear inside of this curly bracket, and I could define methods like so. Just like we've done before, and write whatever code I'd like. So we define a class by right-clicking on the project, saying Add New, and then defining the empty class, giving it a name. And then this new file is created, and into it I'm going to put all of the code associated with this class. In the next segment we'll look at how to define and how to use these constructors.